Animal Spotting Guide gives you a good look of what we might see on the reserve today. Can't guarantee that we're going to see them all due to different migration patterns, different patterns time of day. But I hope to have some pretty good luck along the way here. Few rules: keep all hands, arms, feet, legs inside the truck. Lap seated children, keep them seated on a lap or a seat, and stay fully seated during the whole trip. We're starting out our adventure in the Little Ituri Forest. If you look up the hillside here on the right hand side, you'll see the behind black and white striped legs. That's actually an okapi, not a zebra. You can see it a little bit better through the cracks of the trees. No relation to the zebra whatsoever, and actually closely it's related to the giraffe, mainly because their skull structures and their very long tongue. Their tongue is going to be long enough to lick their eyeballs. Kind of gross, but kind of cool all at the same time. I'm impressed by it. Big difference between the stripes of the zebra and the stripes of the okapi. That's their directions. Okapis have horizontal stripes, while zebras have more vertical. They were discovered in the Western world about 1901 and were known as the unicorns of the jungle. So it really shows that animal species are constantly evolving and being discovered. Going around this watering hole, if you look up against the rocks on the left-hand side, that's a black rhino. Black rhinos are pretty tough to find during the daytime hour because they are nocturnal, which means they're more active in the evening. They also blend in with the rocks pretty well. They like to play master disguise quite a bit. Unfortunately, that is just one black rhino out of 5,000 because they are unfortunately poached for their horns. We're now a little bit further into the forest. There's a lot of activity from some antelopes. The lighter brown antelopes are greater kudu. They are the second largest type in Africa. You can tell the males from the females part based on their horns or lack thereof. Males have them, females do not. So is our female greater kudu. Now there's some other antelopes with some horns, some more orangey caramely animal called bongos. Bongos kind of remind me of little pumpkin rolls because they're coloring, but they do have a real nickname here in the forest. They are rarely ever heard of seen from, that they're known as the ghosts of the forest. So now you can say you've seen a ghost on the safari. Many animals that live in the forest, like those bongos and a kudu, are considered to be crepuscular. Crepuscular does mean that they're more active during the dawn and dusk hours. So let's make our way out of the forest here into the Safi River. This Safi River is home to some Nile crocodiles and hippopotamus, a couple of my favorite animals along the way here. Now the key for looking for these hippos is going to be looking in the water. You gotta look for the bubbles and the ripples. That is the key to finding them. There's a couple of hippos on the right hand side there, submerged underneath the water. But luckily for us, the Safi River does split up ahead into two. So we're gonna scoot our boot down the river because there is a whole load of hippos there. That's their group name, a bloat. Hippos spend a lot of their time in the water, like that. Mainly to keep that body temperature nice and cool from the heat. Which I don't blame them, it gets pretty hot here in Africa. However, I would not want to be in the water with some hippos. They're very dangerous and very territorial. They even have fights that last up to about 2 hours or so. When hippos are in the water, they'll submerge themselves, holding their breath for anywhere up to about 8 minutes. They do know how to swim, but it's possible they actually prefer to walk along the bottom of the water if they can reach it. That's their preferred method of transportation. Hippos do come out of the water mainly during the nighttime hour to look for food. They tend to travel anywhere it's about 7 miles or so looking for it. And they're herbivores, so that means they rely on leafy greens to keep them nice and healthy. Opposite of herbivore is a carnivore, meat eaters. Speaking of some carnivores, some Nile crocodiles below us here on the left. Nile crocodiles like that can grow up to be about 16 feet long, 500 pounds, and live to be about 40 years old or so. They do have longer lifespans and very dangerous animals. They do have the ability to clamp their jaws shut with 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. They also have a top running speed of about 10 miles per hour. And our truck only goes 8. So we are gonna twin day out of here. Trees are moving up ahead, which is a very good sign for the savanna here. On our way to the savanna, there is a very unique looking tree here on the right called a baobab tree. Nicknamed the upside down tree because they do go about 9 months out of the year looking like an upside down uprooted tree. Coolest thing about that tree is the trunk. It's very massive. Holds hundreds of thousands of gallons of water in it. What elephants will tend to do is they'll use their tusks poke holes in the bottom of the trunk to get the water out. Think of it kind of like a giant Capri Sun for them. So we're getting pretty close to the savannah here. Definitely have those cameras on ready. This is some of the best picture taking on the reserve. Can't stop for all the animals, but I will try to slow down when possible. If I do make any stops for a very short amount of time, a few seconds or so. Just because our truck stops doesn't mean those animals are coming down to us. I don't know how to pose for the camera. They are wild. So I highly suggest having your phone or camera on an action or a sports setting mode. So right as we come on down in the savannah, there's a lot of activity. You can even see some giraffes. As we do travel around the savannah, we're going to see a lot of them, including 5 baby giraffes. Baby giraffes, the babies were born in the past 6 to 7 months. About 5 of them that range from about 6 to 7 months to about 2 to 3 months. We'll get a closer look at them, including the babies. I see one of the babies up ahead here. But first, we're going by this den area. Look by the rocks over here on the left. You'll see the African wild dogs, or painted dogs as they're also called. Thank you. So it looks like it's we're gonna let the giraffes cross, but it gives you a better look at these dogs. These dogs kind of look like hyenas, but no relation to them whatsoever. Hyenas are actually their own species of animals called hyenidae, while these dogs are related to a canine. Not quite as friendly as your average dog, though. They do have about a 90% success rate when hunting. That is about 3 times the amount as a lion or a cheetah. The main reason they're so good is that they can maintain fast speeds for long periods of time, hunting their prey down to exhaustion. And they're pack animals, so they will be in packs of about 20 dogs or so. So I see one of the baby giraffes. We're going to see a lot of giraffes. I also see some sable antelope close by here. The sable antelope look very regal and majestic. They're even on the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Something unique about them is their coloring. They're kind of that caramel auburn color. They don't start out that way though. They actually get darker as they get older. The darkest ones within the herd are going to be male. There's one male that's darker than the rest of them. He is the male dominant. However, he can lose that dominance. If that does happen, he will lose that color as well. And the new male will take over the darker color. So this is a tower of giraffes. We're going to see a few more of the babies along the way here too. That's their group name, a tower. Pretty fitting name because they are the tallest living land animals. They will reach top heights about 20 feet tall. And when they're born, they're just about 6 feet tall. Within an hour of being born, they are walking around on those legs of theirs, so they're up and out pretty early. These are specifically Maasai giraffes. Can remember the name Maasai because they're massier, splotchier pattern that they have. They're one of 4 different species. If you do want to see a different species of giraffe, head on over to our sister reserve. Over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, y'all can see some reticulated giraffe there. There's a lot happening on this hillside here. There's 2 animals. The smaller antelopes are the springbok. They almost kind of look like babies, but that is their full-grown size, about 100 pounds or so. They are the smallest type of antelope in Africa. They're about the size of a large dog. Now, springbok in Afrikaans and Dutch means spring, which means jump or leap. Bok means goat or antelope, so jumping, leaping goat. They leap about 13 feet forward and about 5 to 8 feet in the air. They do have a top running speed of about 50 to 60 miles per hour, so they are the 2nd fastest animal in Africa, just second to the cheetah.